Elizabeth the Virgin Queen, the ruler who held England in the palm of her hand and commanded the loyalty and fear of millions. She was a symbol of strength, intelligence, and an unshakable will. Portraits of her show a flawless, almost otherworldly figure, dressed in golden pearls, her gaze piercing as if she could see into the soul of anyone who dared oppose her. But behind the crown and the power, Elizabeth's life was filled with secrets, and perhaps a darkness that history has never fully revealed. She ruled for 45 years, survived plots, rebellions, and even the threat of assassination. Her life was a story of triumph. But what about her death? What really happened in those final hours that led to her leaving this world in 1603? Officially, Queen Elizabeth had died peacefully at Richmond Palace. History books say it was natural causes, old age, exhaustion, maybe even melancholy. But whispers from the past suggest something far more unsettling. Some accounts claim her body after death began to decay in ways that were unnatural. Rumours spread that the Queen may have rotted alive. The words alone sent a chill down the spine. Could it really be true? Or was it just the dramatic imagination of those who loved scandal? Imagine the scene. The most powerful woman in England lying in her bedchamber, surrounded by attendants who adored her, yet feared her equally. The court is in mourning, but in the shadows the air smells of something wrong. Her body doesn't behave as expected. Embalming practices of the era are crude and sometimes fail. Could her final moments have been far more horrifying than anyone dared to speak aloud? This is the story no one dares to tell in history class. A story of power, death, and a secret so macabre that it has haunted historians for centuries. If you want to uncover the dark truth behind Queen Elizabeth III's final hours, make sure to like, share, and subscribe and turn on notifications, because in the next we dive into the Queen's final days, and what happened could shock you to your core. As Elizabeth I approached the end of her remarkable reign, signs of frailty began to show. The woman who once strode through courtrooms with unmatched confidence, who outwitted foreign powers and silenced dissent with a single glance, now struggled with the simplest of tasks. Her steps became slower, her voice weaker, and a pallor settled over her face that no cosmetics could hide. Historians say she was suffering from exhaustion and possibly illnesses like blood poisoning or pneumonia, but some accounts hint at something even darker. Courtiers whispered that the Queen, who had always controlled every detail of her life, now seemed powerless against the relentless decay of her own body. In those final days, Elizabeth was said to be confined to her bedchamber at Richmond Palace, attended by loyal servants who feared for her life, and yet feared her wrath even more. Imagine the atmosphere, candlelight flickering in the vast shadowed halls. Every footstep echoes like a drumbeat toward the inevitable. Elizabeth, lying in her ornate bed, aware of her approaching end, perhaps pondering the crown she had carried for decades, and the secrets she would take with her to the grave. But here's the chilling part. Contemporaries noted that even as she lay dying, her body began to show early signs of decay. Her skin reportedly took on an unusual color, her breath grew labored, and some servants claimed they could detect the unmistakable stench of rotting flesh before she even drew her last breath. Could it be that Elizabeth was, in some horrifying way, rotting alive in her final hours? The rumors were never officially recorded in royal documents. They were whispered in secret, passed along by those brave enough to speak of it. And yet, these whispers have persisted for over 4 centuries, feeding the legend of a queen whose death was as mysterious and terrifying as her life was powerful. In the next part, we will explore the moment of her death and the mysterious burial that followed, an event that may hold the key to the horrifying truth of what really happened. If you're ready to uncover the dark secrets of Queen Elizabeth I, make sure to like, share, and subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. April 24th, 1603, the day England's mighty Queen Elizabeth I breathed her last, or so the official story claims. History records her death as peaceful, surrounded by loyal attendants and courtiers, her reign ending quietly after 45 years of power. But behind the grand tapestries and gilded walls of Richmond Palace, whispers tell a far darker tale. Elizabeth's body, once the picture of regal composure, reportedly began showing signs that alarmed those who dared to look too closely. Her skin darkened in strange patterns, her face appeared twisted with distress, and a peculiar stench filled the room. Some historians suggest this could have been due to disease or poor preservation methods, but the rumours were far more macabre. Could the Virgin Queen have actually begun to rot while still alive, trapped within her own failing body? Embalming in the early 1600s was a crude art. Embalmers often relied on aromatic herbs, oils and spices, but mistakes were common and deadly. In Elizabeth's case, some accounts claim the process may have been rushed, poorly executed, or even deliberately altered by those who feared political consequences of a bad body. The result? A corpse that appeared far more horrifying than the world was prepared to see. After her death, her body was carried in solemn procession to Westminster Abbey, where she would lie in state. Crowds mourned, poets lamented, and the court observed every ritual, yet the truth of her final hours was hidden beneath layers of ceremony and secrecy. Her tomb was prepared, ornate and imposing, but historians and conspiracy theorists alike argue that what really happened to her body during that time remains a mystery, and a chilling one at that. The official records say Elizabeth's death was serene. The rumours say something far more terrifying. And in the shadows of history, where truth and legend collide, the Queen's final moments may have been far more horrifying than even her enemies could have imagined. In the next part, we will explore the terrifying rumours of her body rotting alive, accounts that have haunted historians for centuries and challenged everything we thought we knew about the end of Elizabeth I. If you want to uncover the chilling truth of England's most iconic queen, make sure to like, share and subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what happens next. Whispers in the court and rumours among the servants told a story that official records never would, that Queen Elizabeth's body showed signs of unnatural decay even before she was fully gone. The words alone send chills down the spine. Could the Virgin Queen, England's most powerful woman, have rotted alive in her final hours? Accounts from the time are scarce, but some chroniclers wrote of a strange discoloration on her skin, a foul odour that permeated the chambers, and a rigidity that seemed too sudden for a natural death. Others whispered of her eyes rolling unnaturally, as if trapped in a body that refused to let go. These rumours were carefully concealed by attendants fearful of angering the court, or perhaps covering up something far worse. Historians debate the cause. Some suggest it could have been a combination of blood poisoning, infection or extreme illness, accelerated by the poor embalming techniques of the era. Others argue it may have been political manipulation, stories invented to frighten or control those who spoke of her death. But the legends persisted, growing darker with each retelling, embedding themselves into the myth of the Queen who could not even die gracefully. Imagine the scene: the grand chambers of Richmond Palace, candles flickering, shadows stretching across ornate walls, servants whisper in hushed tones, afraid to speak too loudly. The most powerful woman in England, lying in her bed, her body betraying her in the most terrifying way. Could the Queen herself have sensed the horror as she drew her last breaths? It is a question that has haunted historians for centuries. How much of Elizabeth's death was natural, and how much was a slow, horrifying process of decay that began while she still lived? Every rumour, every anecdote seems to push us closer to a truth no one dared to write in official chronicles. In the next part, we will explore her burial, the secrets of her tomb, and what historians discovered centuries later, revealing clues that might finally explain what truly happened to England's most iconic queen. If you're ready to uncover the dark, hidden truths of Queen Elizabeth I, make sure to like, share and subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because the story is about to get even more chilling. After the death of Queen Elizabeth I, her body was carried with great ceremony to Westminster Abbey, where an ornate tomb awaited her. The world saw a grand procession, mourners in black, candles flickering along the corridors, and a queen laid to rest in peace, or so it seemed. But hidden behind the solemnity, historians and conspiracy theorists have long whispered that the tomb held secrets the world was never meant to see. Elizabeth's burial was conducted with all the pomp her status demanded. Her body was dressed in the finest silks and jewels, her face carefully concealed by a lifelike mask, and spices and herbs were used in an attempt to slow decay. Yet some accounts suggest that despite these efforts, signs of abnormal decomposition had already begun. sparking rumours that her final hours were far more horrifying than anyone admitted. Centuries later, when historians studied the tomb and the records of her death, they found clues that raised unsettling questions. Why were the embalming methods so extensive yet seemingly ineffective? Could the rumours of her rotting alive have been based on more than mere legend? Some experts speculate that her body may have suffered from a rare condition, or that her illness progressed so rapidly in her final moments that her body began to decay before she fully passed. The queen, who had controlled every aspect of her reign, who had outwitted monarchs, spies and conspirators, was now at the mercy of her own failing body. The very idea that Elizabeth could have endured her final hours in such horror transforms her death from a historical footnote into a chilling, almost nightmarish event. Her tomb, still standing today, seems silent and serene, but beneath the marble lies a story of power, fear, and perhaps a death that was far from peaceful. The mystery lingers. Did Elizabeth truly die peacefully, or was she trapped in the ultimate betrayal, her own body turning against her as she faced her final moments? In the next and final part, we will explore Elizabeth's legacy and how these dark secrets have haunted history, leaving a chilling mark that still captivates the world today. If you want to uncover the hidden horrors of England's most iconic queen, make sure to like, share and subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the conclusion of this story is as shocking as it is unforgettable. Queen Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, may have ruled England with unmatched power, but her death left a shadow that no crown or scepter could dispel. Centuries later, historians, writers, and curious minds still debate the true story of her final hours. Did Elizabeth die peacefully as the official records claim, or did she endure something far more terrifying, rotting alive as her body betrayed her in the final moments of life? Her legend is more than her triumphs. It is the mystery that surrounds her death. Tales of unusual decay, whispered accounts of horror in Richmond Palace, and the secrets of her tomb have transformed a historical event into a story that feels almost like a Gothic nightmare. Elizabeth's life was a triumph of intellect and strategy, but her death reminds us of something inescapable, that even the greatest can be powerless in the face of the body's final betrayal. The fascination with her death shows no signs of fading. Writers speculate, historians theorize, and the public remains captivated by the possibility that one of England's most iconic queens may have suffered a grotesque fate in silence. Her life was immortalized in portraits, plays, and literature, but her death, shrouded in fear and whispers, endures as a chilling mystery that refuses to fade. As we reflect on her reign, we are reminded that history is not only shaped by the living, but also by the stories left behind in shadows, rumours, and untold truths. Queen Elizabeth's final chapter may never be fully revealed, but the terrifying possibility of her body decaying while she still drew breath continues to haunt imagination across the world. The story of Elizabeth's life and death is a powerful reminder that history is never just what we read in books. It's the whispers, the secrets, and the mysteries hidden in plain sight. And sometimes, the darkest truths are the ones never officially recorded. If you were shocked by the chilling secrets of Queen Elizabeth I, make sure to like, share and subscribe, and turn on notifications, because there are more dark, untold stories from history that you won't believe actually happened,